Hello, and welcome to this presentation about the flexibility that is allowed with accredited training. We've been hearing a lot of confusion. There is a common misconception in the Weatherization Assistance Program, or WAP, that when they ask for comprehensive accredited training, that training needs to address every single part of the relevant job task analysis, or JTA, whether the intended audience needs it or not. Otherwise, it can't count as accredited, some say. If it were true, it would be sad. This would result in taking workers out of the field and forcing them to sit through training on topics that they're already skilled in, while potentially not covering more advanced topics that could help them learn and grow. In fact, if it were true, it would be very sad. Money spent on training is money not going into homes. Whether you are a project officer at the Department of Energy, a grantee, or a weatherization training center, in this program, we all share the goal of improving the lives of our clients. And if training is less effective than just continuing on with work as usual, we are not serving that goal. Imagine sending someone to a training they don't even need instead of weatherizing the home of a family in need. That is certainly not the goal. Luckily, none of those things are true. The intent of all DOE training guidance is to ensure workers have access to the training they need in order to do their jobs well. And there is flexibility within the IREC standard that governs the accreditation of training programs, allowing for flexibility in the delivery of training materials. An accredited training program has to have shown that they are able to address every specific part of an IREC-accepted JTA, but they are not required to deliver that same material in every course in order to be accredited. As an example, if you were planning an energy auditor training and conducting learner assessments and training needs analysis or working with a training provider to do so, you may determine that your workers need training in only a few facets on, say, data collection, diagnostic testing, and energy modeling and work scope generation. You or a training provider can then pull those items from the JTA to create a customized scope of training for your workers. An accredited training provider may have a process to ensure that trainees have met all the learning objectives associated with the rest of the JTA, like skills assessments or quizzes, but the training itself can focus on those areas deemed necessary. Another thing we hear is, well, if not from IREC, the requirement must come from Department of Energy. But no. DOE does not require that training address every part of a JTA. Rather, they instruct grantees that the training plan should include an analysis of the training needs and a plan for meeting those needs over a defined period of time, which can span multiple program years. This is all from WPN 15-4. If you feel like there's not enough time to assess the training needs of your network, consider this. Assessing your learners' needs and shaping training to meet those needs means less time spent in training and better learning or skills improvement overall. Less time out of the field means production schedules stay on track, and the time spent assessing needs will be recouped multiple times over when you avoid having workers sit through unnecessary and often frustrating training. Is the confusion about the flexibility allowed within accredited training programs then maybe coming from the training providers? Possibly. There was a lot of emphasis based on key language from DOE and IREC about comprehensive and fully aligned JTA training early on, when 15.4 first came out. And our training providers rightfully took pride in offering the most complete training available. But they can also customize and be responsive to needs. The standard for becoming an accredited training provider lists criteria and policies that a training provider must meet or have, but the standard doesn't dictate how to meet those criteria or dictate specifics of policies. Training providers have options. So if a training provider is saying they cannot do something the way you are requesting it, It's likely that the training provider has developed a policy or process that governs what services they may provide and how. But bear in mind that other accredited training providers may have taken a different approach. Find a list of accredited training providers here. The intent of all DOE training guidance is to ensure workers have access to the training they need in order to do their jobs well. And anyone who tells you that program guidance or IREC accreditation standards require you to subject your workers to unnecessary or untargeted training is misunderstanding those requirements. So consider looking elsewhere. And remember, there is flexibility with accredited training. Thank you.